Welcome to the November 13th meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing our national anthem, and repeating the four-way test. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And so, Mike Roberts, if you'll come up with our invocation for the day. Oh, I thought it was you for November.
It could be. I'm not sure. But so last week, you might have heard me mention that some people need healing. Well, in God's magical way, I got a text this morning. Some of you might know that I am very well acquainted with the Lamancuso family. The judge and I have played the Italian American for about 27 years together. His grandson has a rare form of cancer. And then this news this morning is amazing news. God is good. Let us pray. Lord, we ask you that you would be with us at this meeting today. Let our work reflect well upon you. We thank you for the green grass. We thank you for the blue sky. We thank you for the whiteness of the snow. All represents your majesty in your kingdom. Bless this day, bless this meal, and those that prepared it for us. And in all of our own belief, amen.
What wonderful news. And President-elect Marion, do we have any visiting Rotarians and guests? We have Kenneth here, who won't be a visiting Rotarian and guest for long. Hi, Kenneth. Very good. Announcements. Joni would like to make a foundation announcement. Where is Joni hiding? Oh, here she comes. So if you remember, Joni went and was our representative at a meeting this last week.
All right, standing in the required place. All right, so as your foundation committee chair, I attended the District 7090 Foundation Celebration and Grants Training, 45 minutes of grants training, yesterday at Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. And my favorite friend, Denny, went with me, so it was lovely. Met wonderful people. And for this year, they were able, the district now, we're talking about 709, I was able to fund $54,700 in grants to 24 clubs at maximum $2,000 per grant. Now, these are funds that were donated 3 years ago to Rotary International by all these clubs. And then the 54,700 comes back to the district. A quarter of that is distributed, more than $54,700 times 4 is what came back to the club. So 54,700, which is a quarter of the money that came back to the club, is distributed in these grants to make impacts, like our books and bibs done by the Literacy Committee. So if all of us gave every year even $25, we had 100% foundation giving, even at $25 a head, we would have so much more money to give to our community and make a big difference. So think about this. You're thinking, oh, those people go out there and get those books and bibs, those girls and that one guy or two, they're wonderful to do that. But honestly, if you'll give to the foundation on your birthday month or any time of the year, you can do it directly on your phone. It's real easy. Or just give a check to me or Kathy Birch. We can do it. It makes a huge difference on the money that comes back 3 years later to each club. So our club received 2 awards. And I would like past President John Healy to pop on up here. So the first one is the End Polio Now certificate, because we gave at least $1,500 to End Polio Now. And there weren't that many clubs that did it, although there were over 100 people at this gathering. The next one is the one he really worked hard on the last month or two, calling everybody up, especially you committee chairs, to say, get your work together, get your numbers in, get online, get it done. We got the Lighthouse Award. Thank you, John.
Just say this is an award really for the club. Just shows what a great club we have and all the work you guys have done in the past year. I really didn't have much to do with it. It was all you guys getting everything done. So congratulations for on a great year for the Rotary and all your work you guys do for us.
Somebody had to encourage them to do it, John. Wait, let's get both of them. I have another picture, by the way, for you, Chris Anderson. I have a picture for the Facebook page. Okay. And then finally, just for your information, we're a club of 90 people on the books. You see, that's not as many as come, but that's okay. We're a great club. They awarded a governor's trophy at the end of the afternoon to the club that hit all the marks for building membership, donating to Rotary International, Polio Plus, all the things that we did for the Lighthouse Award, they did even better. The club that just barely missed that award was the Mayville Westfield Club. They missed it by like a point. They have, I want you to think about it, and obviously your wows make me think you're thinking about it. They have 25 active members. That's it. Of the 25, 5 are corporations, which never come. She said, don't say that, but they don't come. And then there's a core of about a dozen who do a lot of work. So we are 90. We are 45 that attend on Zoom and in person. There's no reason we cannot get a governor's trophy award this next year. Ruth is, pulling all our strings, quite frankly. There's no reason we can't do it. And if we just barely miss it, we'll get it from Marion. So let's keep that in mind. We all have to pull together. Thanks.
Thank you, Joni. All right, Mike Roberts has an announcement.
You may have gotten an email from our president over the weekend, and I read that, and I started thinking about that, and I said, why not me, right? So after this meeting, a few of us will be gathering to have a meeting of meetings. And if you'd like to attend, you may. There's 4 or 5 of us that are already having the meeting. And if you would like to join the meeting, stick around afterwards. Here's what I promise. It'll be 10 minutes. Our work will be done in 2 weeks. We're going to do this. We're going to do this quickly and accurately for what's best for our club. Okay? Join me.
Yes. So I am just so thankful to so many club members who reached out to in response to my email about the meeting. So thank you so much for doing that. On to page 2. John, could you want to come back up here again and talk about the back of the sign? Give us a little update. And you need to stand back here, otherwise we cut off the top of your head.
So we formed a back of the sign committee. Gebby Foundation reached out to us and asked if we were interested in working together to put a mural or a panel on the back of the entrance sign that we just finished up. So we said, yeah, sounds great. So we're Mike Roberts, myself, and Joni Blackman are all the back of the sign committee, and we're collecting pictures of Jamestown, and we're working with an architect out of Buffalo that specializes in signage, and they're gonna do the design and install, but we're collecting on pictures of Jamestown. If anybody has a high def picture that they think looks really good, send it to me and we'll see if we can incorporate it. So thank you.
Thanks so much for doing that. Okay. I wanted to summarize for you, and I want to make this a standing announcement once a month. Anyhow, to tell you a little bit about last month's board meeting, there was only one, during our board meetings, you don't know, during our board meetings, we also have reports from the committee chairs and all the events that are going on. At our last board meeting, which was October 20th, we only made one motion and accepted it, and that was to accept a revised budget for this year for the club. So I handed that out to you, and I wanted to just, I'm happy to answer questions, but the main thing I wanted to sort of explain why we felt this was important to do as a mid-year correction. We as a club have been sort of living, actually we've been living off of our savings for the last, since COVID, since working with COVID. And so we thought it was very important. And also because of that, many club members and leaders have been just taking expenses out of their own pocket rather than making it a club expense. And there were several expenses that we have either used our savings or people have paid themselves that I thought we need to include this in the budget. We need to start being institutional about this and making sure that we have income that matches the expenses. And I have asked the fundraising committee to come up with some fundraising ideas for the club. And so in the next couple months, hopefully we'll hear something from the fundraising committee about possibly a Rotary coffee that you can buy and give as gifts, and that would provide us with some income, and also an opportunity to buy some Rotary shirts and t-shirts and hats and stuff, and with a small amount of the money proceeds going to the club. So, and then there's the big one, which I have right in front of me here. There's the mini golf bar crawl. It's going to be December 9th, and that money will also help the club. So I thought it was really important. The fundraising committee says, well, what the heck do we need to raise more money for? Why do we need to revise the budget income up for fundraising? And so that's what I really wanted to sort of focus on, is the things that we are doing regularly or would like to do to help this club increase engagement and increase the awareness in the community. And so those are the things that on the budgets that I handed out are the things in red, were the primary things. Awareness building. Many of you know the last couple of years we've been supporting the Tarp Skunks. The first year we actually bought out the stadium and gave away free tickets. Now, when we do that, that money comes from the Community Service Fund, the 501c3. That comes because that is a service to the community. But when we put up a poster in the back of the field, that's not a service to the community. That's an awareness builder about Rotary, to get the word out about Rotary. So that comes out of our own club money. So that's one possibility. There are other awareness builders we might want to do, and we should plan to do something every year, and we should budget for it. The second thing, now that we're not all on Zoom, now that the district is having meetings all over the district, such as Joni went to, we should budget for travel reimbursement. Now, some club members are happy to defray the expenses themselves, but that should not be a requirement if you want to participate in Rotary. If you want to become more engaged, we ought to be able to reimburse you for your expenses. So that's budget line item we put in. The membership committee and the DEI committee have both been working on how can we raise the awareness in the community about what we do, so that would encourage new members and encourage companies to let their employees become members. And there was no money for that. So last year we said, oh, well, we'd like to do this, but there's no money for it. So we put it in the budget. In order to do that, we need, I'm sorry? Okay, so the membership committee talked with the Chamber of Commerce and asked if we could actually like have some sort of a social where we'd get members of the chamber and then be able to tell them about what Rotary does. That's one example. The other example is there is a Jamestown Young Professionals organization, and they have meetings sort of pretty much monthly, and they look for sponsors for those meetings. And we would love to sponsor one of those meetings so we could tell them a little bit about Rotary. So those are the two examples that we have right now. So literacy committee, one of the things I have been encouraging all our committees to do is think strategically, how can you increase our impact in the community? How can your committee? And one, we know the literacy committee is a marvelous example. They do it all the time. But the DEI committee, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, has also had some ideas of how we could impact our. So I think all the committees should be thinking for next fiscal year, do I need a budget to do this? And let's get a budget in our club. Then student exchange. We have interviews with prospective exchange. We do flyers, we do all kinds of publicity, but right now that all comes out of the committee members' pockets. It should be budgeted. And finally, the foundation has different plaques and awards and things, and that should be budgeted. Mike?
As I would, that if you have to put together some kind of a brochure or something, if you put that together for us and you email either one of us, we're happy to run off as many as you want. Try to give us more than 5 minutes notice. That would be generous of you. But email Mark Olson, email me. Those that don't have access to copiers, email us. We'll copy them.
Thank you so much. But it still is something we should be considering in the budget, and being thankful and recognizing the in-kind donations that we get that make it possible to run this organization. Any other questions on the revised budget? Sue?
Months. Look at the dues that we have to pay. $150 a person times 7. Hey, there's $1,000. We cannot carry people who do not participate. The end.
Yes, and we have to pay that. We have to pay that at the beginning of in July and in January. So if you haven't paid this year's dues, we've already paid them. We've invested in you. So please help us out. Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for the bottom. Sue just referred to it down there, the dues breakout. So you say, wait a minute, Ruth, we give $160 to Rotary every year in our dues. Look where that $160 goes. 151 of it goes either to international or to District 7090. So right now, that's another reason why we need to have fundraisers, because right now that really doesn't go into our coffers. And I don't think people realize that. Well, when Sue asked, when was the last time we raised dues? And it's been a while, and it is something we will be looking. Yeah, we'll probably talk more about it at the annual meeting, which is December 18th. And please, everyone, mark it on your calendar, because we do need to have a quorum on December 18th. And I know it's late in the holiday season, but I hope you can participate. Okay. Any other questions? So, thank you. So we also have been talking quite a bit about makeups. And since we don't have attendance requirements, why the heck should you mess with makeups? It just seems to be an aggravation, but it's not. There's my main reason for wanting people to do makeups is because that increases your involvement with the club. So if you can't come on Monday, hey, do a highway cleanup, do a red kettle, do something, and then report it as a makeup. But the important part is to be involved with the club and get to know your fellow club members. Now that there's no COVID, it is so important that we have people involved in the club, getting to know each other, that we've got lots of new members. Please reach out to them. What are makeups? They can be including in meeting with at another Rotary, so the AM Rotary or the Thursday Falconer Rotary, attending committee meetings. So please, if you go to a committee meeting, either by Zoom or in person, zip off, and I'm about to tell you, zip off an email to Lisa. And so that email should be really easy to remember. I've put it in your program. It's Rotary, JNY for Jamestown, New York, SEC for secretary @gmail.com. And that will go to Lisa. Okay. This year, next year, it'll go to whoever is our secretary next year. So please, if you've been doing, we've asked Lisa, I have asked Lisa to please leave the books open for July 1 through now, so that if you have things that you've done for makeups, please let her know, and let's get our participation rate up, because that's what it really, I mean, let's have it accurately represent what each of us does. And the other reason for doing that is we do still report it to Rotary International, so they still see what our participation rate is. So those are the two reasons to do it. You can also take a course either in Club Runner or My Rotary, and I hope everyone knows what those are, but I know I did a couple years ago. And volunteering for service activity. Oh, and attending a District 7090 like Joni did, that's also a makeup. So, and it all rolls into that Lighthouse Award, Joni says. Okay. So thank you for my lengthy lecture on makeups. All right. I wanted to mention Kathy Birch sent out an email that she sent $3,430 to the Bike to School project in Siem Reap, Singapore. So thank you to all of you. We exceeded our goal, and I think it's just a wonderful project because we got money from the Community Service Fund, from past fundraisers, and then we had members who doing the math, okay, almost $1,900 individually. So thank you so much for that. It's a wonderful project. Are there any additional? Hello? Are there any additional announcements from committee chairs? Sue, here I come.
your member, Sharon Hamilton, who today is the author of the bulletin. You too can volunteer to author the bulletin, and you can say whatever you want to say. Or you can send an empty page and say, watch it on Zoom. Please, we need help. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is so wonderful. Not very many clubs do the Rotary anymore. And we think it's a wonderful opportunity for you to learn more about everything that's going on with individual members, as well as what the club's doing. All right. My
Ruth, hi, Ruth.
yes,
I just have a quick announcement because I know you can hear me this week. It's a busy week for Youth Exchange. We have interviews on Wednesday, and we're gathering at the Resource Center on Dunham Avenue about 5:30 on Wednesday. I sent an email to the committee members. Please let me know if you'll be there. I don't want to be the only one. And the kids are coming in from the district on Saturday. The committee has also been sent emails about this. We need to have numbers to know if any adults want to go to the Comedy Center with us on Wednesday. On Saturday afternoon. So please let us know. There's an email out there with all of that, and I'll be sending a final schedule out probably later today. So that's it for me.
Ruth, may I add one thing?
please.
Thank you. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Bob Anderson speaking. The Red Kettle campaign, we're starting that after Thanksgiving on that Tuesday at Tops on Washington Street. The sign-up sheet is on the website, but I'll send a reminder out later this afternoon, early tomorrow morning for people interested in filling those slots. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bob. All right. Get your tickets ready. Sharon Hamilton had another hat on today. She was selling 50-50 tickets. While she's getting don't run. While she's getting the bucket, I will remind you that she also was passing around a sign-up sheet for the, I'd love a romantic or a creative name for it, but right now it's the cleanup person to help me with cleaning up after the meetings. I've got a list of what they need to do, and I don't have anyone for today. And membership tear down, yeah, okay, tear down club. And I actually have, there's a membership orientation right after this meeting today. So if I could get someone to help me after the meeting, I'd appreciate it. 10 years since we raised our dues. Okay, very good. So Sharon.
Okay, we have $39 for today's winner, and we'll have Tamu pick the winning number.
Seven zero 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 326.
326. Of course, it's the winner is Sally.
Thank you. Yeah. Can't even get up there. All right. And now, Doug, welcome our Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you. Thank you. Sally is passing some funds back up to us, I believe. Did she? Thank you. For the new neighbors. Great. And today, Vicky helped us greatly. Little Hamilton to go into the, and Russ is just got a happy buck. Vicky couldn't be here a few times, and Russ is just happy about being here. So that all works out terrific. There's not a lot of other recognitions today, but there's one person that I've missed for a few weeks that I'm glad to see here today. And that's because she could share some of that 17 million that the BPU got to upgrade. Good job, Becky. Good job. Okay. I still have a couple others to acknowledge who are not here. So but hopefully there'll be happy bucks to make up for it. In the meantime, it still is football season. And I think we do have a few alum in the room. You know, Michigan, they won. They've got another great game coming up in 2 weeks where they're probably gonna, it's some Ohio school. Yeah. And Mike's coming up because Ohio State seemed to persevere again, barely squeaking by there. Whoa, massacre. Hamilton, Syracuse happened this time. Greg, whoa. And Dan Overcash's Muhlenberg won also. Dan, you can come by credit. Any comment?
After 4 straight losses, Syracuse decided to play their tight end dude quarterback. So we won.
Hallelujah. Okay. Rockport, Denison, Cortland, MIT, Morrisville, Valparaiso. Yeah. Okay. Carnegie Mellon, Grove City. We should have a Grove City grad here. Heidelberg, John Carroll, Ohio Northern. And I bet we have a Mount Union grad here again. Mount Union's been really sweeping it this year. So thank you all. And Phil Calla, what Ohio Northern? I thought I remembered something like that. Yeah, okay, well, we could do that. That's an even trade. Any comments, Phil? No? You always seem to have something eloquent.
I don't think I ever went to a football game the entire time I was there. But I was a graduate student, I mean, we didn't hang around with the kids.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Doug. Any happy bucks today? I am going to start with a happy $5 because in my household, when the Browns win, it's a big day.
So my first buck is for Rotarian Doug, because he helped me out at Panera Bread, had lunch with me the day I went to help, before I went to help with the grandbaby, who, by the way, is doing great. She's finally on the growth curve and taking off and sleeping like she should. So it's all great. If you want to see a picture, I have one. And then my other daughter is now a fully licensed tattoo artist in Buffalo. Plus she's mounting a show, not of tattoos, but of other artwork. So she's technically a professional artist. And I told her I'm retiring, so I can't support her anymore.
I have quite a few. I haven't been here in a long time, so I'm glad to finally get here. But I'm also coming off of a 4-day trip of seeing both my boys. I drove through the night to get home at 8, hour-and-a-half sleep, came right here. I was like, I have to go to Rotary today. But the happy box is a couple of them for my Army kid at the Citadel. Not only did he get Gold Star this year, but he also got the President's Award for excellence in military duties as well as academics. So really good. And on the website, the 4-star general is saluting him and giving him the award. So it was like really cool. With the same kid though, bless him. You talk about God is good. He was baptized yesterday. He has spent the last 2 years at a great church down there. Has introduced us. We spend Sunday afternoons typically talking about the service. I do it virtually. And yesterday he decided he was going to get baptized. So very happy for him. The other one's a little emotional. I also visited my other son in Pensacola area. Unfortunately, a couple years ago, he lost his mind, made some bad decisions. He's gone now, right now for about 6 years. But he shared with me this weekend that through a pastor, through the same church my son goes to, he writes to him a couple of days a week. But the guy next to him has helped him that every morning they sit down and get on their knees and they pray. And it amazes me how God sends the right people at the right time, that we do not judge what they did in the past, but who they are today. And this gentleman is teaching my son how to pray, and he's finally able to find his grace in his mind, and he's coming back to me. So lots of happy bucks.
I have 12 happy bucks. One for each day I spent in Portugal.
While I was waiting in line here with Jim, and he heard Joni's announcement about her daughter, he thinks we ought to all get Rotary wheel tattoos. Now, I told him I wanted him to get the first one and show me, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, a quick dollar here. Ruth did an excellent job just a few minutes ago talking about membership. And Andy Goodell and I had a wonderful breakfast down at the Falcon's Nest on Saturday morning with the Faulkner Rotary Club at their pancake breakfast. And it's a makeup.
Good thing. Very good. Thank you all for your happy bucks. And now I would like to please to bring up Amy Rollard, who's going to introduce our speaker for today.
Contrary to what the program says, I am not Tori Ergang, but I am here to introduce our program speaker, who many of you know very well. Tamu Graham Reinhardt is the coordinator of family and community engagement and inclusivity for the Jamestown City School District. By the way, family and community engagement stands for FACE. So the FACE and inclusivity is expanding family and community and business partnerships designed to increase engagement and have a positive impact on student achievement. From 2001 to 2017, Mrs. Reinhardt worked as a curriculum coordinator for the Jamestown School District. She has also been a development specialist with Erie 2 Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES, a Spanish teacher at Faulkner Central Schools, a school and district improvement facilitator for West Ed, an adjunct instructor at GCC. In addition to her duties, she oversees the English as a New Language program and is in the process of developing an equity and inclusion plan and working to develop a dual language program at Love Elementary School. We're very busy, Tamu. She also acts as the district liaison for recently resettled families through Journey's End. Ms. Reinhardt graduated from Jamestown High School with a bachelor and also has a Bachelor of Arts in Spanish Education from State University of New York at Buffalo. She received a Master's of Arts in Public Relations from Ball State University, and she holds her New York State School District Administration certification and a Cornell University certificate in diversity and inclusion. She is also a board member for the United Way of Southern Chautauqua County, Junior Achievement of Western New York, and was recently appointed by Governor Kathy Hochul as a member of the SUNY Fredonia Advisory Council and will soon be certified as a track and field official. I love that. Her personal volunteer work includes the Jamestown Refugee Resettlement Coalition and the Love Mercy Do Justice Interfaith Coalition. She is here to speak about a pilot program that Jamestown Public Schools is doing for adults around English as a new language. This pilot is funded by the IDEA Coalition, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility, Chaco Region Community Foundation, and United Way. And many of you know that we're in the middle of our campaign right now. And so I'm very much interacting with lots and lots of employers and many manufacturers. And one of the questions that I have asked them as I go there is, what if somebody has limited English proficiency? Is it easy for them to be hired here? And most of the time, the answer is actually no. It's not easy. There's questions around safety and learning English and supervisors being able to communicate. So I think the need for this program that Jamestown Public Schools is doing is really, really urgent when I talk to employers, and I know they're struggling to find workers. So having said that, thank you, Tamu, for your work on this, and we are excited to learn more about it.
Thank you for inviting me to come and speak with you this week. I remember back when I was at Jamestown High School, I just loved the Spanish language. And so when Rotary came in to do the presentation about students who wanted to be an exchange student, I automatically went to the auditorium, and I took all the paperwork and I was so excited. And then I went home and I asked my dad if I can go, and he said no. So I'm finding other ways to work with languages and work with people from diverse cultures. I did spend 2 weeks in Turkey in September. And being a linguist, I thought, well, you know, how hard I'm going to learn another language. And I pulled up my Rosetta Stone. And after 2 lessons, I said, the heck with this. It's not a language that follows any systems that we are aware of with our Latin based and roots and knowing what an adverb looks like and things like that. And so I just decided that I would just enjoy myself. And I'll talk about these a little bit when I get to my slide. So I focused a little bit more on just kind of students in our district, but towards the end, I will speak to what Amy was talking about with regard to the ESL program. So let me get this going here. On the right-hand side. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to go to full screen. Okay. All right. So before I get started, I would like you to raise your hand if anyone in here is an immigrant. Anytime in your life. We've got 2, 3. Immigrant. So we've got at least 3. That's wonderful. Raise your hand if one of your parents was an immigrant. 2 more. Raise your hand if one of your grandparents was an immigrant. How about great-grandparents? So in one way or the other, we're all immigrants here. Even myself, my grandmother she passed away years ago, but she was from Bermuda and never became a citizen, got her green card. The story she tells is when she applied to become a citizen, and it's very arduous paperwork, at least at the time. When she applied to become a citizen, they said she lied on her application, so they turned it down. So she got her green card, and you would never believe that this woman from Bermuda with the beautiful sing-songy accent that they have down there spoke with the thickest Brooklyn accent you could ever imagine. You would never believe she was an immigrant, but that was my grandma. So to a certain degree, we all have some sort of connection with immigration. Maybe it goes back to 2 greats, 3 greats, or maybe your family came on the Mayflower. I'm not quite sure, but we all came here through different reasons and different means. So I was this article, and I forgot to make the font white, but this article came across my news feed actually last night. And I thought it would be interesting to share some of this information with you as we start to look at where we are within Jamestown, but in the United States as a whole. And it says by 2029, older adults over 64 will outnumber children from birth to 18. So this is kind of like, they gave 3 different scenarios. This is kind of like the medium scenario that they gave. If we stopped immigration entirely, if we loosened immigration laws or what have you. So they kind of did a medium scenario. The natural increase, just the way people kind of, have children and have families, will go into the negatives. So deaths will eventually outpace births. And they say in 2015, the non-Hispanic white population will be less than 50%. Right now it's at 58.9%. You'll see an increase in diversity will be most notable in the children that are being born in the United States within the next couple of years. I don't think I'll be around in 2080, but if any of you still are, the population intends to peak at about 369 million, but the foreign population will make up about 19.5%. And so what the article also says is that some other statistics right now, the white non-Hispanic population is about a half of the United States, and it will go down to a third by, I think it was 2050. Another thing that they said was the highest increase from immigration towards the 2080s, 2081s will be in the Asian community. And that could be anywhere from China, Japan, Philippines, Cambodia, Vietnam, things like that. So it's the highest it's been since the 1890s when we really started to bring in those immigrants from Eastern Europe. I hope you can see that. So people sometimes wonder what immigration is driven by. So usually it's driven by economic opportunity. We've been the land of milk and honey for a lot of people. And so people want to come and work in the United States. But what the Census Bureau is actually seeing is there are other factors now that are contributing to that, which are climate change. So if people's, where people live with the floods, hurricanes, or loss of vegetation, or, scarcity of what they use to live is causing people to move more to the cities or try to get to the United States. There are some social tensions that are exacerbated by, excuse that bullet, authoritarian governments, gangs, cartels, guerrilla, and wars. And then just in the United States, we have a rather fluctuating sentiment around immigration. And so the Census Bureau does the best that it can, but it's also saying don't stick to these numbers because we're not quite sure. Well, they're looking at projections. So in Jamestown Public Schools, we have students from all of these different countries: Syria, Congo, Venezuela. As many of you know, Puerto Rico isn't, they are citizens, but they speak Spanish there. And so we have a lot of, we have some diversity in our immigrant population, which is wonderful because it just gives us all an opportunity to really meet families as well as students who come from different places. And so the languages that we have spoken in our schools right now are several different kinds. And then it was interesting to find out when our two Indian students came in, they were both from India. Excuse me, there's 4 Indian students. They're both from India, but they spoke 2 different dialects. So they didn't communicate with each other, but they're very well educated, so they didn't qualify for our ESL program. So I do want to go ahead and thank Rotary for the donation of the earbuds, which I have an example of right here. And there's another company. So we've been plinking around with a couple of different kinds. These look more like the AirPods that you have. And so, with any technology, it grows and develops. And so as the companies get better, the technology gets better. So most of our students who use these are entering or emerging students, the students who really have no English at all. The other students really don't want to be perceived as not understanding. So some of them have turned down using them, but our students who have absolutely no idea what's going on, they're the ones that will take these. It comes with an app, so you have to download the app. The Forum app that you see on the side is another one that I'll talk about in a minute, but that's the same company that makes those earbuds. Some of the challenges we find is, and I've actually found a challenge with that middle one that I've used, that's a Microsoft Translate. You have to enunciate, or else even when you read yourself, you might say pickle when you meant to say purple or something like that. So then it gets translated and the kid kind of looks at you like, eh. So AI is, always morphing and changing. You do need to be about 3 feet away or closer to somebody when you use these. So the kids who do tend to use them will sit in the front, right in front of the teacher. But we're very grateful to you for giving those to us, and the kids have been using them. And actually, when a teacher has to have a conversation with a student, they will also use this as well as some of the other apps that you see down there. The great thing about the apps on the bottom is if you don't have the headphones, those apps work just as well. The Forum app and the Microsoft app that are green, the great thing about those is some of the kids don't want to wear the earbuds, but still need some help with English, especially if the teacher's, explaining a geometric equation or something like that. So Forum and the Microsoft Translate apps allow the student to put it in what's called presentation mode. So the teacher can stand up with their iPad there with the application on it, the kids can plug headphones into their iPads and it actually gets translated over the wires so that this kid can hear it in Spanish, this kid can hear it in French, this kid can hear it in Arabic. So that's really helped a lot of kids to be able to at least get those big chunks of content that they don't understand, whether it's chemistry or science or bio, when the teacher is doing their direct instruction. So that's been really helpful. The only drawback is it's only one way. So it's teacher and you just have to sit and listen, but it's better than nothing. Google Translate is always everybody's go-to. It's probably one of the better ones in terms of translation. However, it doesn't have the feature with the presentation mode. But the great thing about Google Translate, if you don't know, is if you open up your camera, there's a camera option in Google Translate, and hold the document, like if it's on your phone or an iPad, hold it over a document. It will translate that document as you're watching it. You'll see everything kind of go kind of funky, and it'll translate it right into the language that you need. So there's a lot of that goes on as well. So when students have to read from a textbook or something like that, they'll hold this Google, their iPads over the top, and it'll translate that for them. So, it's not perfect, but we're doing the best we can. But what I can tell you is these kids want to learn English so badly that, one of our Congolese families, the first Congolese family that came, my sister Faith was telling me that for the first time, they all got so excited because she was able to actually tell them a story. Just because she was just frustrated with another ESL student who didn't want to do her work. And Faith was just like, oh my gosh, we totally understood everything you said, and that everybody just got all giddy. And she's only been here since February. So I'll talk about a little bit more about that later, but that's great to know that they are really working hard to learn the language. Wanted to kind of give you a little just tidbit. There's immigrants or people who come to the United States who are English language learners, and there are those who are not. And so in order for us to determine who's an English language learner, we do a pretty rigorous screening process. It starts with when kids come in and check in. We do an oral interview, and then we do a written test. We're still kind of trying to figure out, when I talk a little bit more about the adult program, to find a baseline test that will tell us how much language the individual already knows, but we're still looking. We're hoping that we can find something through the state, because we haven't found anything that's really good with any of the vendors that we've been looking at. And so even though they're an immigrant, they may not be an English language learner. And then for the purposes of the school district, we only consider them an immigrant for 3 years. Don't know why, but after 3 years, they come off of our rolls as an immigrant. So let's talk about the English classes. So we're hoping to start our classes right after Thanksgiving. It took a little bit longer to get that started, but I've got 3 individuals who are willing to do that. 2 of them are my certified TESOL teachers at Washington Middle School, and the other one is a retiree who, within the budget that was so generously provided by the funders, she's taking a TEFL course, teaching English as a foreign language. And so that will be given during the day, twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, 9:30 to 11. And then our evening classes will be given right at Washington Middle School in the library. We're so grateful because the school principal is all over it. She's 100% for it. And so she said we could use the library and all the computers. So the computers that I had put in the budget will now go to the day program over. We haven't figured out whether it's going to be at the YW or St. Luke's, but it's going to be at one of those 2 places. We started, I said, max 15 participants, with the thought in my head that all 15 would come. And when you're doing an English language class or any really kind of language class, and speaking as a Spanish teacher, it's really hard to teach a language with a class of 20 to 25 people, because you want everybody speaking, you want everybody engaging in the language much more than you're able to get with a classroom full of students. So we started with 15 students, but we will take on more if we have a waiting list. And we're kind of going to do the teacher thing and probably have them work in stations. So some might work on we actually found a curriculum that has an online program, so we can actually monitor their progress. And then while they're maybe doing some of the online stuff, the TESOL teacher may say, you know what, this person really needs some help with the silent E or why IGH does what it does, because we never really think about that. We just know how to write the words. So to help them with some of those more discrete skills in the evening classes, as well as getting them just a little more acclimated to really what is American culture. That's one of the things that the TESOL teachers thinks is really important for our adults to know. Daytime classes, we talked about, she's going to focus a little bit more on workforce readiness and workforce development. So filling out applications, you know, certain vocabulary that they may need to know when going into the doctor's office or something like that. So that's really going to be the focus during the day. Not that we won't hit it at the night, but that's where she really feels like that's where she's been able to lean in at, because she's taken people to doctor's appointments and things and noticed that there's been some barriers. So that's what we have. And so I just kind of wanted to finish, get towards the end with, you know, some of the other things that we've been talking about at Jamestown High School, and this is for our immigrant population as well as our local population. If you guys haven't figured out, we have a whole lost generation of kids who just stopped coming to school. In addition to the fact that one of our refugee adults tried to get a job as a teacher's aide para, because we really needed a bilingual para at the high school who could speak Swahili, even though the Swahili students do understand French very well. But she hadn't finished her schooling in Burundi, I think that's where she was. So she had she was weeks away, but because we can't get records of a high school diploma, we can't hire her, at least not to be a teacher's aide. And so some of the refugees or people who have resettled, and they might be, you know, that came through Journey's End or came through, it came as asylees or however they got here, they are working. But you know, to be able to maybe get more hours, because some of them are cleaning at La Quinta, but they don't have enough hours in and things like that. And so one of the conversations that I've been having with Journey's End is we have several openings for cafeteria workers, custodians, those types of things. You know, I don't know if these people came from countries where their pension system was just not something that they understood. So we're hopefully going to be hiring our first Congolese employee. He said he told me in his broken English, and he's only been here since May, that he's gotten his fingerprints done. So he's very excited and he's very grateful. And what I can tell you, if you haven't had a chance to engage with some of our refugee families or non-English speaking families, is they are so grateful to be here. His wife, when they came, his wife was pregnant. And I was visiting at their house and he pointed to her belly and he gave me this big smile and he said, American. And it was just an amazing, and he was just so proud of the fact that one of his children was going to be an American. And so they want to work so badly. And so, you know, I know Amy mentioned that with talking with some of the employers, but something to really think about is just because a person doesn't speak English doesn't mean they don't understand it. And so the research says to be conversant, comfortable enough to speak in English, it takes anywhere from 1 to 3 years to really to be able to carry on a conversation. To be literate, and that's another whole can of worms, depending on if anybody has any literacy in their own language. To become literate in English, it takes anywhere from 7 to 9 years. And so what I really would hope that our employers are considering is, just because a person doesn't speak English doesn't mean he doesn't understand you. And if any of you have tried to dust off your high school French or Spanish when you go on vacation, adults tend to feel a little self-conscious when they try to speak, or they won't try to speak. And so you also have to think about, sometimes just being an adult and navigating another culture makes it so you're not going to say a whole heck of a lot in the beginning until you think you can say a full sentence. And so for adults, even though the average is 1 to 3 years, for some adults, it might take longer depending on their own personalities. So I just wanted to kind of end with saying thank you. I pulled up this thing about the Statue of Liberty with her quote on there, but I just want to say thank you to the Rotary. Oh, another thing, this is a translator pen, so kids can actually write it over the text and it will translate in here, and you connect it, it will upload into a computer. So we have a lot of devices and things that people can use to translate. So if you have any more questions, let me know. Thank you very much for letting me be here.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for a couple questions. I really appreciate this. So let's do, who'd like to ask?
I know that is this on? Yeah. Okay. I know that the earbuds come in 40 languages, and two that are missing is Swahili and Farsi. Is there any way to get them to add those to the catalog of languages?
It varies by vendor. There is one other option, but it's a little, I'm kind of back and forth with it. Zoom does have an add-on now with a company that will allow the person can, if you Zoom with someone, they can hear it in real time and they can also read it. And they were adding Swahili this month just to listen, not to translate. So they're still working on the, if the person says something in Swahili, will it translate? I've had some success speaking with the Congolese families in French, because that's the national language there. So I do speak with them more in French, which is not great. My French is really rusty, but the French goes a little bit better than the English. So they try to do the top 20, 40 most spoken languages, but ironically, Swahili is one of the top 20. I don't know, I think it's going to vary by vendor, but I have yet to have found a vendor that is adding Swahili anytime soon as far as the earbuds.
Is it one more question? One more question?
I think we're probably going to see more and more people using those translation devices. But in addition to their learning curve, I remember learning English as a child and confused by idioms and expressions that are so cultural. So do you have advice for those of us who will be talking to somebody who needs translation?
Just takes it, if you turn it off, it just takes it a minute to turn on.
Turkey showed me a lot because like I said, I only did 2 lessons and said the heck with it. The translation apps are really good. And so Google's great. The Microsoft one is great. If you speak in it, it will translate for you. And so you can like hold it up to the person's ear and they can hear that. Oh, yeah. It's so much of what we do that we don't even think about it. Like I was saying about the one in presentation mode, it picks up what it thinks you're saying. So sometimes you'll read the English transcript and you're kind of thinking to yourself, what the heck did this say? And then this person's getting it translated and they're just kind of going, So yeah, I would say enunciate, speak slowly. You don't have to yell, but speak slowly, enunciate, and simple phrases are really good. Yeah. Stay away from colorful adjectives and things like that.
And no abbreviations.
No abbreviations.
Okay. Well, Tamu, thank you so much for doing this. I'm sure people would have all kinds of other questions, and I apologize for cutting this short, but we wanted you to know one of Rotary's major international programs is to eradicate polio in the world. You heard a little about that. And thanks to your presentation, our club today will donate in your name to to vaccinate 4 children who will never know polio in their lives. So thank you. Really appreciate it. I think there's 2 meetings going on afterwards. So thank you all for coming today. Remember, create hope in the world. Thank you. And we're adjourned.
So landlord, are you the tough guy? Are you a tough landlord? Somehow